Yo, what's good, everyone? It's your boy, the Light or the Light Gamer, man. If you're new to the channel, drop a like and subscribe below, man. We got a good one here. We're gonna be reacting. He's the best player in the world already from Jimmy High Roller, man. He's really good on his videos. And hey, let's get it. If you're new, man, I'm Delighted, the Light Gamer, and we're reacting to this right
Franchise players, a 9'7" French alien with high emotional intelligence.
Bro,
The NBA Finals are here, which means we've got some hot takes to look at today. Playoff edition. The good ones, the bad ones, and the downright atrocious. Today's video is sponsored by DraftKings. The playoffs are here, and right now you can get in on the action with DraftKings' newest easy-to-play fantasy pick'em, DraftKings Pick 6. With DraftKings Pick 6, you're not just selecting players, you get to handpick how they'll perform. Pick at least 2 players and choose if they'll have more or less of any stat. Whether it's points, rebounds, three-pointers, points, and assists. Once you've made your picks, lock them in and compete against others for a shot at huge cash prizes. And with features like stat slices, Gimme Pick 6.
Alright, there we go.
The place you call
I
home
go
is
from
important to
one
you,
ad
so
from
it's
his
important to
to an
Allstate.
ad from
Home
YouTube.
is where you make all your best memories. Nice work, you two. If it's important to you,
Easy to become a podcaster with Riverside. First, go to Riverside and open an
don't
account.
care, bro.
When you're ready.
Let's get it.
After 6 weeks of NBA playoff basketball, we are now down to just 2 teams. And while Knicks and Spurs fans get to enjoy the exhilarating experience of watching their team fight for an NBA title, the rest of us have been relegated to watch from the sidelines as we spew out hot takes about teams we couldn't beat. And today, we're gonna take a look at some of these takes. Starting with this one that comes from a fan who asks, is Wemby the quickest someone has ever climbed to arguably #1 in the league? Wemby's in year 3.
Who
Neither
knows?
LeBron or MJ ascended to #1 so quickly. And this is interesting because there's 2 parts to this take. The first part is that Wemby is arguably the best player in the world. And the second is that no one else
Let's say something too, though. All right, on that take, real quick. The Spurs are the quickest team to create another, it looks like, possibly dynasty. So that is honestly just crazily insane if you ask me, man. And we'll just, hey, we'll just have to continue to keep looking and finding out, you know?
has been the best player in the world by the end of their 3rd season. Both of those statements a bit subjective. I think it's definitely fair to say that Victor Wembanyama is arguably the best player in the world right now. If it's not him, then it's Jokic or Shea. And regardless of who you pick, there's no wrong answer. But the key word here is arguably. So has any other player in NBA history climbed to be arguably the best player in the league by year 3? And the answer is yeah. Wilt Chamberlain won a league MVP as a rookie. By the end of Kareem's 3rd season, he led the league in scoring twice, had 2 MVPs, a finals MVP, and was definitively the best player in the NBA. Larry Bird was the runner-up in MVP voting in his 2nd and 3rd seasons in the league and was arguably the best player in the league. And of course, there's Michael Jordan, who despite not having the hardware as tangible proof, was generally regarded as one of, if not the best player in the world by the end of his 3rd season in '87. Now, looking into more recent NBA history, there's Shaquille O'Neal, who was arguably the best player in the league by '95, neck and neck with David Robinson and Hakeem Olajuwon. Although Shaq held the crown by 2000, in Tim Duncan's 3rd season, he was in conversations as the best player in the league after leading the Spurs to a championship in just his 2nd season. Another prodigy with an underrated early career is Kevin Durant, who was regarded as virtually the only player who could go toe-to-toe with a prime LeBron by his 3rd season in the league in 2010. He finished 2nd in MVP voting, and although he wasn't the best player in the world, he was next in line by his 3rd season. And then there's Derrick Rose, who wasn't regarded as the best player in the world by the end of year 3, but he did get an award, a small consolation prize for his efforts. And of course, there's year 3 LeBron, who ascended in the 2000s with a crowd of all-time greats. By the end of his 3rd season, there wasn't a definitive best player in the world. Between Dirk, Kobe, Nash, Duncan, the conversation was pretty open for interpretation, but there's no denying he was certainly in it, finishing 2nd in MVP voting in his 3rd season in the league. The moral of this story being that throughout modern NBA history, even amongst the greatest players of all time, there probably hasn't been a single player that was the consensus #1 player in the world by the end of year 3. Wemby falls in the same category as LeBron and Shaq and Jordan and Bird, making a very strong case as arguably the best player in the league. I wouldn't say he's definitively the best player in the world, but I'd say being in the same sentence as those guys is a good consolation.
Yeah.
Now, this next take comes from a fan who says you could replace Shai Gilgeous-Alexander with 30 different players and the Thunder still win the title. And if this isn't evidence that SGA has the worst PR of any superstar of his era, I don't know what is. 30 players? You know what the Thunder's record is this season, including the playoffs with Shai? 65-13. You know their record without him? 8-6. 84% win percentage with Shai, 57% win percentage without him.
Huge difference,
the Thunder's
man.
record over the last 3 seasons with Shai, 204 and 56. 78% win percentage. Their record without Shai, 15-12. A mediocre 56% win percentage without Shai Gilgeous-Alexander over the last 3
bro's
seasons.
take on that is
For
so
perspective, from 2016 through 2018,
Dude, that
when the
commented
Warriors
that.
had the league in a chokehold, Golden State's record with
Jimmy High Roller's he's right on this, bro. I'm not an OKC fan, but damn.
Steph Curry was 215-44. Their record without him was 30-19. A gap that is identical to the Thunder with and without Shai. Because it turns out, not only do great successful players have great impact, but they usually have great teams built around their unique skill set
win
and
percentage is
talent.
huge.
Time and time again, we penalize players for being a part of a good team. Fans minimize Steph because of how good the Warriors were. They downplayed LeBron in Miami because of how good the Heat were.
But look
And you
what happens
can't
when
bring
there's
up
no
Jordan
Steph.
without someone mentioning how great the team around him was.
Okay, the take is you go off of, okay, with no Steph, no LeBron, no Michael Jordan, then what? Those teams are completely different. They're just an extra spark to that team. So.
But all of the true all-time greats had great teams around them.
If you have CalFresh, Medi-Cal, or SSI, you may gigabytes of data every month.
If social media existed in the 90s, all you would ever hear about is how stacked the Bulls are and the unfair advantage MJ has. Steph had the most lethal team in the history of basketball behind him. Bird and Magic played with rotations filled exclusively with Hall of Famers. This is just the way it goes. And the irony of all of it
insane.
is that in many cases, the perceived caliber of the team as a whole can often be the result of the guy leading the charge. Great players make their teammates look better. You'll often hear the hypothetical of swapping player X with player Y and which team would perform better with their new star. For example, swap Jokic with SGA and the Thunder still win a championship, but the Nuggets would be in the play-in, or something like that. But that's not how basketball works. Good teams are built with intention. They are built with specificity. Shai is a great player. So is Luka Doncic. But Shai cannot do what Luka does. And Luka can't do what Shai does.
Yeah.
Same
Each one of
goes
them have
for
their
Ant
own
or Brunson.
expertise.
Great players, completely different skill sets. Great rosters are like a recipe. You need the right amount of the right ingredients to make it work. Change one ingredient and you risk screwing up the entire dish. In fact, we've already seen what happens when talent is viewed as some perfectly transferable property. In the super team era, where organizations had this exact mentality, teams were slapped together with no intention, no design, no cohesion, just stacking up as much talent as possible for the sake of it. And it almost never worked out. Regardless of what you think of Shai's game, he is a very unique and very crucial ingredient to a recipe that has been perfected over the last half decade. And there are not 30 players who could fill his shoes and lead OKC to a title. This take is absurd. Now, this next take comes from a fan who says there has never been a more difficult time to win an NBA championship than right now. And I completely agree. After the Warriors ran the table on the NBA last decade, the entire meta of professional basketball shifted. Teams have gotten smarter, they've gotten deeper, and although talent will always prevail, the path to winning a ring in today's NBA requires far more than just talent to get it done. This is now the 8th season in a row that a different team will be crowned champions, the longest stretch of unique championship teams in NBA history. In fact, there have been 14 unique teams in the finals over the last 8 years. That is half the NBA. We are now creeping up on an entire era of absolute parity in the NBA. And this is in complete opposition of what we saw in previous eras. Whether it was the Celtics and Lakers winning 8 of the 10 championships in the 80s, the Bulls going 6 for 10 in the 90s, the Spurs and Lakers combining for 7 rings in the 2000s, or the Warriors winning 4 in 8 seasons. Dynasties and perpetual winning have been a staple in the NBA for decades. But due to multiple factors, such as advanced analytics giving teams the insight to optimize their rosters and game plans, teams prioritizing depth more than ever before.
Bro, this is just how you know the game's changed, though, just to be like that now.
Rise of rotation level players and their impact on a night-to-night basis, and the league itself enacting new rules to actively fight against teams building dynasty-worthy rosters. Not only is it more challenging to win a championship now than ever before, it's more equitable. No longer do you have to have the best player on the court to win a series. No longer can you pair up a couple of mega talents and run through a conference. The 10th man off the bench can be just as pivotal in today's game as your second option. The natural evolution of the game has slowly leveled the playing field for teams competing for a title, and this shrunken gap between top-end teams now leaves the margin for error small enough that truly anything can happen. We still see glimpses of all-world caliber players willing their teams to victories, but those moments have now become a rarity. Before this era of parity, LeBron James was able to will his way to 8 straight finals appearances off of sheer ability and determination. This does not happen in today's NBA. A great bench is no longer a bonus, it is a necessity. A great coach is no longer an edge, it's a requirement. Right when you think one team has separated themselves from the pack as a potential dynasty candidate, the league adjusts faster than it ever did before to counter their strengths. The basketball scale has and will always tilt in the favor of talent. One thing that remains true is that winning a championship means being in possession of one of, if not the best player in the world. But it's everything else. Depth, fit, cohesion, chemistry, schemes, rotations that has leveled the playing field and can now tilt the scale just as much. This is a great take. And our last take comes from a fan who says the regular season has become all but irrelevant and the playoffs are the only thing that actually matters, both in terms of discourse and legacy. And I could not agree more with this take. In the past, the playoffs were just a ramped up version of the regular season. Tougher defense, tendencies exaggerated, more intense matchups. The consequences of the playoffs were held to a similar regard. What a player did in the postseason mattered the most, but what they did in the regular season still mattered quite a bit. But now more than ever, the postseason has become completely disconnected from the regular season. The playoffs don't just feel more intense. At times, it actually feels like we're watching a completely different sport. And this is what happens when the regular season is comprised of some teams resting players, other teams using the regular season as one long testing ground in preparation for the playoffs, and the rest of the teams literally trying to lose as many games as possible. It has become evident that many organizations do not take the regular season seriously whatsoever. And in return, many fans are now choosing not to take it seriously either. You won the league's most prestigious award, the MVP. Well, why should I care? It doesn't even look like you do. You average 25 a night? Yeah, well, a quarter of the league isn't even trying to win games. If all you guys care about is the playoffs, then all we're going to care about is the playoffs. And now here we are, at the point where a 6-game series can hold more weight than an entire season of basketball. Legacies, reputations, the entire merits of a player's game are now decided strictly off of the playoffs. Tracy McGrady was a fantastic player, and to this day, he is rightfully remembered as such. Tracy McGrady never made it out of the first round. These days, if you win an MVP, but you don't back it up as the best player throughout the entire playoffs, you are instantly a fraud. Steve Nash won back-to-back MVPs and never made it to the finals. Dominique Wilkins is a legend, a staple of 80s basketball. He also never made it to the conference finals once in his entire career. Meanwhile, I just watched Jalen Duren wash away fan support 70 games of awesome basketball and a max contract in just 3 weeks of bad playoff basketball. I just watched arguably the most impactful regular season of all time get dismissed because of one bad round in the playoffs. I heard someone say Joel Embiid, former league MVP, 4th highest scoring average in NBA history, one of the most talented bigs of all time, is not a Hall of Famer because of his lack of playoff success. Do I think this new standard being imposed on players today is unfair? Yeah, I really do. Not everyone's gonna win a championship. But do I also think the players and teams have done this to themselves? Yeah. The symptom of teams coasting their way through the regular season without any real sense of urgency is that we as fans now know the real test of a player's game. Actually, the only true test of their game and their abilities is in the playoffs, which inherently makes the regular season and everything that happens in it a lot less important, and everything that happens in the postseason, even if it's a 4-game sample size, the only thing that matters. And although I really wish this wasn't the current state of the league and its discourse, I agree with this take. But let me know what you think. Share your hot takes in the comments below. And as always, the hotter, the better.
Well, there you guys have it on he's already the best player in the world. My reaction, thoughts, opinions. Let me know what you guys think, man. That definitely was a crazily good video, man. I'm Delight or Delight Gamer, whatever you want to call me. Hope you guys enjoyed, man. If you did come across the channel and are new, drop a like, subscribe below, and I'll catch you guys later. Another one next time or soon. I'm out. Peace. Later, guys.